Everyone, how's it going? I've got a familiar face on here with me again, Emmet Peppers from Good Soil Investment. Before we start, obviously, disclaimer: none of anything we say is a recommendation to buy or sell anything to your own DD. Obviously, we're here for your entertainment. Emmet, how's it going?
Good. How about you, Yashu? Good to chat with you again. I love your live streams. I'm a big fan. I'm trying to get you to set up a Tesla TV channel.
Yes, Emmet's been trying to tell me, hey, set up a 12 or 20. Actually, you were quite the optimist. You said 24-hour live stream is just like continual Tesla talk. In theory, and we can talk about Tesla. By the way, I've got a new ticker down there today where you can see Tesla price no matter when we're streaming. But I think it's a good idea. It's just I don't know if I'd be able to fill up 24 hours, 7 days a week. I just don't think it's
Yeah.
possible.
I think there's enough content out there. It's just a matter of organizing, coordinating it. People want to see live stuff. They don't. Some people prefer live. I prefer live versus recorded. I mean, I listen to recorded podcasts people put out, obviously, but it's much better live. You feel like you're absorbing the information as fast as everyone else is, then as soon as possible. And so, if someone could coordinate with all the YouTubers on Tesla, just say, hey, why don't you just do it live at this time? Why don't you do it live at this time? Then you could have like a really cool 24-hour or 12-hour a day live content feed of Tesla stuff. And, in between your live stream commentaries at the close, like this or
Yeah.
something, stuff like that. I think it'd be pretty neat, but
I mean,
it takes coordination.
if there's enough content out there to talk about football for 12 or 14 hours a day or hockey or one team, there's definitely enough. Probably you're right about Tesla.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, by the
Speaking,
way, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I say, speaking of which, yeah, we're knocking on 1100 again, the door of 1100 near all time highs again. Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
it's nuts, right? We're sitting here for the audio listeners, by the way, 1,099 and 62 cents here on Tesla. Pretty
Yeah.
good timing, I think, for our stream. What are your thoughts? Okay, let's just keep it really generic for a second. This week has been nuts. We've jumped up from last Friday. I think we closed at 910, if my memory serves correct, and now we're sitting here almost at $1,100. What happened this week?
I mean, I think there's just a lot of people absorbing the information still from the earnings and the gross margins and the fact that, I think more and more investors are starting to realize that it's possible Tesla can become the biggest company in the world.
Mm,
They're seeing a path to that. A lot of us have kind of been speculating on that for a while, but I think you have more and more institutional investors and PMs kind of come into that realization that, hey, we need to get a piece of Tesla in our portfolio. We're going to miss out potentially on the biggest story of the decade, like the
mm.
next Apple, and so once it crosses a trillion market cap, it's in that, it's more clearly in that conversation. That's sort of my thought. I don't know. What do you think, Yashu?
I think that's definitely a portion of it. Now, my question to you is, do you think that well, not investment grade, but that credit rating boost that we got, was it Friday? I think, yeah, Friday we got
Hmm.
that upgrade in credit. Was that perhaps a forcing mechanism for some portfolio managers that might have a double B plus as a minimum criteria for investment, as potentially a
Could have been.
forcing mechanism?
It could have been. I mean, it's not quite investment. I think it's one notch below investment grade still, if I recall. And so, like, one more notch up, I think it's like pretty clear they're going to get that soon. And so maybe some of the funds that, are supposed to wait till, stocks are investment grade to purchase as part of their portfolio. Maybe they're jumping the gun now, even in buying Tesla or see the writing on the wall. Maybe they've communicated with the ratings agencies. Gary Black had a really fascinating tweet yesterday. I don't know.
Hmm. Hmm.
An analyst consensus, but if I recall, that number that Gary Black kind of referenced based on the S&P uh, report from Bloomberg is 10 or 15,000 units higher than what most people are thinking. I think.
Okay, gotcha. By the way, I think your audio cut out for a second there, but it was good.
Okay.
Yep, it was good for
All
me.
right.
I think that was on my end. So it sounds like with Gary Black though, and this is what I love about Gary Black as well is like he gives an insight into Wall Street that obviously us, well, me speaking at least, non-professional person does not get. And I
Mhm.
just noticed actually today, and I pulled up his tweet here. He's actually raised his price target. Have you seen
Yeah.
that tweet out?
Yeah.
So now he's at $1,400 a share, raising up $200. So what's interesting here is to see it's kind of like a race to the top. I'm not sure if you feel the same way, but in January when the stock was just climbing, 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 it was like all the analysts were coming out of the woods to really jump on Tesla and to be like be that new street high essentially. How much of this do you think is mania or just a bull craze or just greed happening in the next couple of weeks? And do you think about hedging your positions at all, long Tesla, buying protective puts, or selling more
Mhm.
premium with premium being so high? Like, these are the questions I'm having now when obviously things are going really well for us.
Yeah, I mean, I am attract tempted to sell covered calls on a part of my position. Like right around here, I'd be like, oh, maybe I should sell some like 12.50 covered calls for expiring next week. I mean, what are those trading at? That's probably pretty decent premium you can collect on that. Let me pull that up on my
Covered calls are for next week.
yeah 12.50. I bet you get what, like, let's see,
Yeah, 12.50 are going for 4.50 or
four
4.40.
dollars and 50 cents.
$4.40, yeah, ish
Okay.
for next week.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty good, but it's almost like thinking of like having a limit price on the way I think of it is like, would I sell my stock, a portion of my stock right now for $1,250?
Hmm.
And if so, if I would sell like a quarter of my Tesla stock, then why not just sell the covered calls for the 12.50 strike instead in the meantime, if I'm not sure about it completely, but I'm sort of thinking about it. So
Hmm.
that's the way I think of it. I mean, 450, I was thinking like $10. It's not, I think they were priced higher a day or
They
two
were.
ago, but obviously, um 450 is still kind of like, I'd almost be a buyer of those if it keeps running up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, 7 days to expiration. That's still quite far out the money. Like we're
Yeah.
talking $150 like from
Yeah, it can move
right
that in
now.
one day. It can move that in one day on Monday, let's say. Yeah.
So this is the thing is like I always talk about how much of a double-edged sword I like personally speaking, I have such a problem with this. When implied volatility is low, there's usually
Yeah.
less movement in the stock. And then I
Yeah.
convince myself, hey, there's no point of selling premium when implied volatility is low. When implied
Yeah.
volatility is high, right, like right now, then I convince myself, hey, look, the stock's moving. Like you don't want to be selling premium now. So it's like, I never find and maybe this is just the optimist in me, right? Trying to figure out,
Yeah.
just trying to protect my downside. So, you know, 450 is not a lot, but if Monday we wake up and we're flat, this probably goes to $3, 250 probably. Um just
Yeah.
in the first couple hours of trading on Monday is my guess if
Yeah.
we open flat. But the question is, does something come out Sunday night about
Yeah.
Hertz 2.0 or something or,
Yeah.
whatever, and then we wake up and pre-market Tesla's, at 1175,
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it feels like the options are priced about right to me. Just gut feeling. I feel like I could see being a buyer or a seller. Like if I feel like I'm kind of on the fence, I'm like, oh, I think those options are probably priced right if I feel torn. If you feel like
Yeah.
strongly one way or the other, then it's like, okay, maybe I should do something. But it, there's so many people making money doing different things. You want to click buttons to place
Yep.
trades, but sometimes the best thing if you hold we're about to cross 1100 here.
I know. There we go.
Yeah, we got it.
Boom.
1101, 11.1. Maybe we'll get the new, maybe it'll bust through again. Let's see. There's probably some big sellers at these round numbers, typically,
Yes.
lightening
There
up their position.
there's a 60,000 lot seller from this morning that's kind of been moving
Hmm.
his or her stops up. They were at 11:10 in the morning and then they
Yeah.
split us down. And then we were talking about this before we went live, that big down candle, guessing it was a portion of their shares coming down. Um,
Yeah.
but next week, let's talk about Dave Lee. Dave Lee's channel, he had Spot Gamma guest on talking about Gamma
Mhm.
Squeeze for next week, and he was attributing a large portion of this week's move to at this whole Gamma Squeeze theory. And if you don't know what that is, essentially he's saying the amount of money flowing into near term call options out the money is making market makers who are short those calls having to buy stock to hedge. And by the way, I've done an interview with former option market maker Bradford Ferguson. If you want to check that out, and we've talked
Yeah.
about this before. But I'm curious to get your take on how much of the move this week do you think is based on that, and what do you think about his theory about next week?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good. I feel like his theory told a good story of what might have happened last week, for example. I'm not sure it's predictive of what's going to happen next week. It's hard to really predict short term. It's like impossible.
Yeah,
It's like I call it it's like quantum entanglement, trying to predict day to day stock price movements of a stock.
yeah,
It's very tricky, and so yeah, I mean, I think you can use something like a gamma squeeze or charts and stuff to kind of explain what happened, up to now. But going forward, no one knows. I mean, we could gap down $200 Monday.
hmm
It's possible. Like we've come up so fast. Like that wouldn't surprise me either.
mm,
To be honest, so we could gap up 100. If we gapped up $200, that would surprise me actually. But gapping down like 100 plus would not surprise me so much.
interesting.
Just because we've come up so much. And I do know, one interesting data point was, I think another tweet that Gary I saw put out was over half or approximately half of all dollars spent on short-term options are Tesla options in the market right now,
Yeah,
something like that.
it's
that's
nuts.
that's insane. That's like kind of disturbing, but insane. It's like such a gambler mentality on Tesla, the stock right now. And you got to think most of those are call options speculating, right? Riding the train, the momentum train, right? I mean, do you think there's a ton of people buying short term puts on Tesla right now? I doubt it.
Here's it's actually funny you ask. Here, let me bring this up on the screen. I can actually show you up on here. Let me know if you can see my screen there, Emmet. This is a flow summary chart that I've pulled from our Discord a couple minutes before going live here. And
Okay.
you'll see on the left side, we've got calls in terms of options order flow. And then the right side, we got puts. And the biggest bars being lean ask for $290 million worth of Tesla premium coming in today on the call side. So you could probably assume that those are buyers. And then
Hmm.
contrasting that a little bit on the lean ask side on the puts, there's only about 60 million coming in there. So very heavy. And this is, by the way, not even close, I think, to what it was yesterday. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's probably two-thirds or a half of what it was yesterday in terms of flow.
Hmm.
So yes, you're right. And but I look at this though, and I don't think this is retail. I'm not sure if you think a large portion of it is.
Hmm. I think a large portion of it is, to be honest. I mean, I think there might be some institutional money doing some stuff there, like, but no billion-dollar funds are speculating with short-term options. I don't believe, on Tesla. Maybe sporadically, possibly, but I would think most of them are kind of long, short stock shops. Maybe they'd sell covered calls a little bit or something. I don't know, or buy puts potentially, but um, I got to think a lot of it's retail. I mean, the Reddit crowd, all of us, YouTube. I mean,
Hmm,
on Twitter, there's like a huge Tesla Twitterverse, and
yeah.
everyone's seen, folks get rich quick with Tesla, so to
Right.
speak. And they're all the FOMO. I mean, there's a whole new, race of people evolving here, FOMO sapiens, and we're all like evolving into that. And so you see that even more with the put and call, option buying, mostly the call options. I mean, it's sort I feel like it's the call option buying is sort of a crowded trade at this point. I just don't know how if the portfolio managers chasing the stock up are going to be enough to keep it floating, or if we're going to have a serious like deflated bubble soon.
Hmm.
It's hard to say. I mean, what in January it was something similar, I think, when the stock was it creeped up to like $900 quick, and then it came back down to like 700 for a while, right?
Yeah. There's and I do respect and I agree to have a little bit of downside bias because if you are long and you've seen the move that we've had this week, if it's only for the sake of keeping yourself honest in terms of downside a movement protection, I think it's worth it. And if Tesla continues to run, great. We're Tesla bulls, we don't care. But
Yeah.
I think after what we've learned from January, or at least what I've learned, I can only speak for kind of what I think. That move from 900 to 550 can happen quick, and it
Yeah.
did. And I think though there are different market dynamics than there were in the beginning of this year. Like for example, in January of this year, or moving into February and March of kind of how we crashed from 900 to 550. I think there's a lot going on the downside. So, supply chains for the first time were breaking down. We're getting word of that. No one really knew what was going to happen with inflation or the markets. So there was a lot. Everything kind of came together in this kind of perfect storm, if you want to call it. And Tesla disproportionately or did way worse than a lot of the tech stocks when you look at the Nasdaq. Um, but that being said, uh, do you think there's kind of this locking mechanism in place with a stock like Tesla now that the bigger it grows, the more market cap weight it will have in a lot of these diamond hand funds, these pension funds that will
Yeah,
have to just
absolutely.
buy.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we saw this in Apple years ago and Amazon not too long ago. And once they become, and Facebook a little bit more recently, but I think once they become like a mega cap and there's consensus, then you have a lot of institutional firms that just have to have a piece of it, and then on top of that, you have such a strong hold on for dear life investor base like us that are
Yep.
just going to hold our shares forever.
Mhm.
I don't know if you had that strong of a base with Apple or Amazon or any other stock ever. I think social media has kind of contributed to that at a large degree with Tesla too.
Right.
Social media wasn't as strong when Apple was coming to age and Amazon more recently or Facebook or whatever. I mean,
That's true.
Facebook is social media, but like the Tesla Twitterverse that we run,
Yep.
we were part of or whatever, you just see it. And
Mhm. Yeah.
friends and family hear about it that although that I don't talk about it, but they hear about it and ask me about it, and that never happened that much with other things. By the way,
Mhm.
I didn't have any jujus, but does this count an orange mango spin drift
Oh,
drink?
there you go. Hold on. Let me
It's
just
sort of
let me
close,
zoom
right?
in
I
on you.
mean,
There we
probably
go.
some vitamin C.
There we go. Look at that. I got the oranges here too. So if you don't know,
Okay.
by the way, this is an inside joke at the channel. Jujus are good luck. We eat citri, any sort of citrus works. Yeah, I can't even talk. Tangerines, mandarins, lemons. Some
Yeah.
people like lemons. I don't know. Some people are weird, but anything. So yeah, appreciate the juju coming in. And look at
Yeah.
that. As soon as you took a sip, we just broke 1100. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
correlation equals causation for sure.
I know. I know. Yeah. Maybe the market makers will pin it at 1100. Maybe they've sold a ton of calls and puts at 1100 and they're just trying to pin it there.
You know what's interesting though today is how volume is pretty decent. It's only 23 million. And
Mm,
a couple weeks ago I would say 23, that's a pretty hefty size
yeah.
day considering how light volume has been for Tesla for over the summer months in September even.
Yeah.
But this week, and I'll pull it up on the daily just to knock this out here. Monday, 62, almost 63 million shares traded. Tuesday, the same. Wednesday, 38.5.
Wow.
Thursday, yesterday, 27.2. And then today we're sitting at 23.5. And we've got about 45 minutes left here into power hour.
Yeah.
Where was that volume Monday? Like I have a hard time believing it was just the Hertz deal that brought
Yeah.
that volume in.
I think you had the Morgan Stanley upgrade
Yep.
at night, Sunday night that came in. That's a big mover. Tip of all the analysts, big price changes. Morgan Stanley seems to have always had the biggest impact.
Yeah.
And then the Hertz news was just like icing on the cake that people ran with and opened the eyes up to a lot of institutions that hey, Hertz is a big player. They're investing $4.5 billion in Teslas. That's a big deal. Like they're trying to set something up here. Um, yeah, I mean, just a quick tangent. What's interesting to me, I mean, I know we talk mostly Tesla, but Lucid, which is
Mhm.
a competitor, they traded 200 million shares today already.
Yeah.
Averages 34 million. Yesterday, they traded like 300 plus million. They traded half a billion shares, or probably two-thirds of a billion shares in 2 days. Something weird is going on with Lucid. I don't know. Well, that's another topic for another day, but
Yeah.
something weird's going on with that thing. I think it's.
Yeah, that is nuts. Wow. 377 million shares traded yesterday for Lucid.
Yeah.
Whoa, that is a lot. And yeah, you
Yeah,
Lucid
there's
climbed
something
up
weird
from.
going on there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's nuts. And obviously it's climbing on the news that hey, we're finally putting out cars, so we're legit. So
I think there's something else to it. I think something else is coinciding to that. I mean, my kind of I guess my theory I guess you could say, is what's the word for like the theories that are like not believable or whatever? Like
Conspiracies.
conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
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 my conspiracy theory with Lucid is that I think the Saudis might be behind it somehow. Like they own 80% of Lucid, right? And they've
they
seen
do.
what's going on with GameStop and the Donald Trump,
SPAC.
SPAC
Mhm,
and these meme stocks. And I
mhm.
wouldn't be. They have deep pockets. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like doing something, gamma squeezing it up or something. I don't know. It
Mm.
just seems odd that it has that much volume in a few days
It's a lot
on
of
such.
volume.
Yeah, everyone expected their deliveries to start. I mean, they just announced it. I mean, it was just a press release of what everyone they've been telegraphing late. We're going to deliver our first cars, by the end of the year. So
Yeah. I think
yeah,
it's, yeah, I think that could potentially be a conspiracy to keep an eye on. I also think there is a portion of the investor base, and I was telling you this before the call that, as like me, I traded Lucid back from when it was CCIV until when they announced their definite agreement. And
yeah,
I sold when Peter Olson was like, "Hey, we're delaying deliveries from when we said there were going to be, which was spring of
yeah,
this year to the end of
yeah,
this year." It just didn't
yeah,
smell good, and I was like, "Nah, let me just get out." And I only had a little bit of profit shares, like, shares on the house type of thing.
yeah,
And so I think them coming out, I think the only thing surprising with Lucid was that it was yesterday. Like, I don't think anyone knew it was gonna be yesterday, other than obviously if you were taking deliveries. Now, the other
yeah.
side of that is that there's not that many people taking deliveries, but
Yeah, like 10 people or something, but still, it's like a few weeks early. But that seems odd for the kind of volume. That doesn't seem right. Yeah.
well, I think you maybe if you have coinciding Tesla mooning the same week and then everyone thinking, "Hey,
Eh,
if this is the new Tesla or this is the Tesla 5 years from now or whatever,
yeah.
then maybe you have extra FOMO." But that is a lot.
Yeah.
377 million shares traded. That
That's a
is
lot of shares. Their average shares is like before yesterday and today it was like 30 or less than 30 million shares a day. Now it's up to 35 but it was like 10 times more than I mean, Tesla is crazy when it's double the average volume,
yeah.
but to be 10 times like that would be the equivalent of Tesla trading today. What Tesla's average is 20 million. So that'd be equivalent of Tesla trading like 200 million shares on a day, on some kind of odd news. Like, I don't know. It just
I
seems
think
something odd about it to me.
well, actually, it's funny if you even I think if you go back to and I will here, if you go back to S&P inclusion date, I don't even think right here, December 18th, we had 210 million shares traded. So S&P inclusion day would be 10 times the volume on the daily for Tesla.
Yeah, with the huge closing print included on it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and I think like almost 100 million shares came right at market on close orders. So yeah,
There's something weird with the loser. Anyway, let's not go on that tangent. That's another investigation for another day. Figure out what's going on with that. That stock is a stock. It's not. It's disconnected from the company in many ways, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like one of the Tesla bears talking about Lucid that from the old days. So I don't want to be that bear like say no way Tesla should not be this high. It's disconnected from
yeah.
reality.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing to kind of that's pretty ironic that when you kind of come full circle like you have. Um, but
Yeah,
hey, I guess you got to give it to Lucid that they've actually made some cars, and hey, they're in the
I
hands of
guess so. Yeah,
actual people. Now the question is going to be how do they turn out? Like how do they go after 6 months, 1 year's time? I guess there's no way to
yeah,
know that right now. But
yeah.
you know
I
what?
group them and Rivian together. Like
Yeah,
once they have 1,000 plus deliveries and you have some regular people talking about it that aren't like company founders or employees or investors, once you have regular people getting deliveries, enough regular people, and you kind of hear their feedback on it, that's when I'll really have a better idea of those companies. I feel like
yeah, and it looks like Rivian is. I kind of read this theory on Twitter. I forget. I want to give credit to who it was, but I don't remember.
1102 almost here for
Yeah,
Tesla.
in
It looks
five
like we're
day.
staying above 1100
I
now. Maybe we'll close above 1100. That'd be great.
I can't say I'm surprised with our live stream planned for the last week here. I just knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah,
11:02 on Tesla. This is crazy. I mean, volume's not massive on these. Well, let's go to the
yeah,
5 minute. Yeah, volume's not massive, but obviously there's buyers stepping in. Maybe there is legs to this whole gamma squeeze theory for next week. I was debating going into some lottery positions for next week that obviously with lottery you want to expect zero and just
yeah,
think you're wasting your money. But I was looking at some out of the money stuff, and like we're talking about, and this is this week's expiration chain. Like we're talking about, it's it's a bit expensive. Like 1,300 next week would be a $200 move, and you'd still have to pay $2.50 per contract on these. Um,
yeah. That's a lot.
it's a lot, and
Yeah,
if the squeeze doesn't happen, but here's the thing: I'm not sure if you've noticed, is Mondays have been ultra. spiky for Tesla, I wanna say.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a market makers thing where, if there are short shares and they need to make up, Monday's the day to do it to kinda lure retail, call
Yeah.
buyers coming back in, like,
A lot of call buyers come back in, I think, Monday morning, like retail day trader type folks, and there's a lot of them in Tesla now.
well, I've been, well, not duped, but I've fallen for, if you wanna call it market maker kind of lures where, Monday Tesla will spike $20 at open. I'll think, "Oh, man, like, is this gonna be one of those weeks where we've seen this week?" And then they'll proceed to just flatline the stock for 3 days straight, and then those will decay,
Yeah.
like no tomorrow. So, yeah, I mean, sitting here at 1,100, if we can close anywhere a dollar or a cent or a penny above
Be so
1,100.
happy. Yeah, I'd be so happy. 1100 close would be great. So yeah, I mean, you see that I feel like the chances are we're going to close at 11. I mean, if I had to be a betting person right this, I mean, I guess you could sell like covered calls at the close for today's expiry. I wonder, let me look those up. What are those trading at? Let's
Oh,
see.
probably nothing now.
Probably
They're
like a dollar, a couple dollars, probably like $2,
No,
$5
no, no,
for
well
today's close. Let's see,
well,
two
okay,
bucks.
for 1,100? Yeah, 1,100s are going for $3.
Wow, right now, 300. That's a pretty good deal. Like selling those, I feel like I think
Yeah,
it's a greater than 50% chance we close like right at $1,100. They like to pin this thing when it's getting close like this, unless some huge buyers are coming in at the close here.
but then you're gonna get called away on your shares if
That's true.
this even closes a penny off, right? Because if you
Well,
look
I put like a buy on close. I would put a buy on close. I'd close it out right at the close,
okay.
like a couple seconds before.
Yeah, yeah, I guess you're right because 'cause we're probably gonna see this decay from 3 what's that? Sitting at 3.30 right now, decay down to probably a dollar here in the next 15 or 20 minutes. But even
Yeah,
if you look at the 11.10 strike, those were going for 75 cents.
yeah,
If Tesla can move $10 in in like 30 seconds, right? Like, it's funny because now that we're such a, we're over, we're at a four-digit number again for the stock price.
yeah.
Like,
That's true.
these movements that we're seeing, and selfishly, I kind of like it for options trading, where even
Yeah.
these little small percentage moves are, and that's why I loved. I'm not sure if you ever traded like something like Priceline back in the day, where
But
it's
I
like
never traded Priceline, but I remember seeing those prices and
so
how it moved.
expensive, super illiquid. Obviously you get screwed on the fill every time. But
Yeah,
even when the thing moved like very little in terms of percentage, your options would just fluctuate massively,
yeah,
even on like a one contract basis. That is. So
yeah.
uh, I guess leading into the next question, if it's a 4-digit stock price now, $1,100, are you pro or anti split here?
Oh, I'm pro split for sure. I
Okay.
think, yeah. Well, one thing I would say that connects this question sort of is a different way, and I think maybe you've talked about it or someone talking about it. I think about it often is like trying to disconnect a decimal. So, like if it did split for 10 for one, let's say, it's
Mhm.
trading at $109.99 right now, right? And then you take the option premium down by a decimal. Then these trades seem like a completely different framework to me almost. I have to think about it in that framework and think if it's a good trade or not still, buying like selling the hundred and the $110 call at 35 cents versus the
Mhm.
1100 call at $3.50. Does that sound good to me still? Not as good as selling it for 350 for some reason. Like when
Huh.
you take the decimal away from both the premium and the stock price, then I feel like I think about it differently. I find myself. Have you
Interesting.
done that?
Yeah, I mean, not really, but because I'm kinda anti-split right now, because
Mm,
I think as split, like, for example, 10 to 1 especially, if it happened, it's not like I'd be sad because obviously I think Tesla would rise in the news, although you never know how with this market. But, if the same thing happened, Tesla split, I think Tesla would go up in on the news that it's splitting. So I'd be happy in that case. But having a share price of like $100, like you kind of turn into these legacy autos with like, Ford, GM, like what are their, I forget what their price points are, but like it's sub $100. I can pull it up right now. Ford's sitting at $17 a share. GM's at 54. It's just a little bit of a more of a boring stock to watch when it goes from 54 to 55, and that somehow represents whatever it is, like X percentage of a stock price that is actually decent for the day, like 1 or
yeah,
2%, and then or
yeah,
2%, and then you're just like, well, it moves a dollar in the grand scheme of things. So selfishly, I think it would be, and I almost feel like Elon knows that, where if he split to kind of match the magnitude that Ford, GM, even Honda's at $30. I'm showing Neo's here at 40. It's almost like he's playing their game and he likes to play his
yeah,
own game.
yeah.
I'd probably be. a lot more for like, let's say, a 4-to-1 or a 5-to-1 split even, something to still have some kind of oomph to the share price.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a 10 to 1 would be good just because there will be oomph to the share price in a year or two. I think if, when I think it'll double again within 2 or 3 years, worst case 4 years, but I think it could be next year doubles even. So
Mm,
somewhere in the 1 to 4 year range, it'll be double what it is now, I think. And so, if you split a 10 to 1 now, then all of a sudden it's $200 or $250 or something in a couple of years. And that's, more I think the 3 to 1 or 4 to 1, what it would be now if you got that split, So
mm.
I think it would grow into that, and then it would grow beyond that over time too. But it's just yeah, I mean the split, it's gonna come. You just don't know when, right? Is it gonna be this, the next few months, or is Elon gonna wait a while until it's like $2,000 or something? What if you had to guess, when do you think Elon is gonna decide or suggest they split it? It's really his decision, I would say.
Yeah, I guess so. And for what it's worth, it looks like I just put up a really poorly written poll on our chat. 70% of people are pro split right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't change it yes to no, but yes means pro split. Sorry.
Okay.
Um, so 70% of people are saying yes, they are pro split. If this thing splits and I think last year when we got news of the split, it was like some random, I want to say Tuesday or Thursday after hours, like couple of like it
Yeah.
was very unexpected when I got that when I got that
Yeah.
alert on my phone. Um, I just don't think with Elon coming out and saying in the shareholders meeting, like, hey, it's not something that we're going to bring up right now. And someone actually brought this up in our Discord. They said that maybe Elon and Tesla investment team wants to wait on Berlin and Austin going online so they can onboard a lot more employees. So then they can potentially do a split later down the line. So then it make more sense that they can buy then. Because right
Mhm,
now they're
mhm.
not. I mean, they might have pre-hired a lot of employees, but I'd imagine a lot of them are not salaried just yet.
Yeah.
And so once maybe a couple months of being online, maybe 6 months of being online, I'm not sure how this stock comp works in Tesla, or if it's just option based. Like I know in Amazon they don't get stock benefits from what I understand. It's mostly options based stuff.
Mhm.
Um, Whereas some companies like Tesla allow employees to buy at the lowest price, I think in the quarter, X percentage of their salary or something like that. So it's something to consider for sure. And I guess these are champagne problems at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right that he does like the lower share price because it helps with the employee compensation. And then also I think he has a fondness for the retail investor. We've been a big part of Tesla support over the years in the early days, especially, and a ton of diehard retail investors from the early days. And so I think he wants to support just the people who are trying to get involved in investing in the retail investor, and lower share prices are more favorable to retail investors as well, I'd say, psychologically and from a monetary standpoint, if you don't engage in fractional shares, for example.
Hmm. And fractional shares aren't available in a lot of countries, right? So,
Mm,
I can get that. Like in Canada, I think we have it with like Interactive Brokers, but a
yeah.
lot of a lot of brokers won't. I think in America, you guys have pretty much anything that you can get access to, anyways, right? So,
Yeah, we have fractional share. Most brokers, not every broker has it though, obviously, but yeah,
mhm. And in
most.
Europe, I've seen tweets out there that it's not available
Oh,
in lots of places in Europe. So,
oh,
yeah, that's something to take in
too bad.
consideration as well.
What
Um,
do you think about Elon's tweets about this? He's just tweeting recently, about
Pull it up.
the Texas Institute of Technology,
He's just memeing, like, you know,
TITS.
he's in a yeah, TITS, Tits University. He's in a good mood. Like, every now and then he'll go on these like kind of spurs of tweets just being like really funny. And I think the last time, I forget when it was, I think it was sometime earlier this year. We haven't gotten this many funny tweets out of Elon in a while. Do you ever read into these at all, or do you just kind of consider him?
I
Obviously,
mean, I
he's
try
human.
to. Yeah, I try to read into them all the time, but usually I get back negative. Like I can't figure it out. I'm like, he's just being himself, trying to be funny. But
Yeah.
I feel like he has embedded, you know, things in some of them. Like there's been, before Tesla split or something. I think there were some tweets that were kind of fortuitous or ominous towards a split, and
Right.
shorts burning, and he's done different things. Kind of fun. And So he did have that tweet back in the spring where he said like Tesla will be the biggest company in the
Yeah.
world soon, and then he deleted it soon after or something. But that's pretty interesting. Like he really believed that. He wasn't joking on that one. I mean, of course, he really believes it, but I think he meant like soon, like later this year. It felt like he was saying.
Yeah, I think the tweet was, he said, one day, or someone said, "I really like your confidence on the fact that you think Tesla will be the biggest company in the world someday." And he said, "In a few months," or something to that effect.
Yeah, something like that.
And then
Yeah,
he deleted it promptly after. And then I
yeah,
think the going consensus was, for more rational people than us, saying, "Hey, like he meant to reply to a different tweet and he just deleted it." But then
yeah.
that theory never rang with me, because then he would have
No, me neither.
he would have replied to that tweet after, and then
Yeah, yeah,
you would have
yeah.
seen it. So yeah, I just so if that, let's kind of run with that conspiracy for a second. If that conspiracy had any legs, what is like what we're seeing now? What was he alluding to? Is he buying all these shares? As to my knowledge, exercising his options, and doesn't shouldn't
Yeah,
affect the stock price. Is it him going through this? Like, what is it
yeah.
here? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's just overly optimistic on the timeline for full self-driving beta, and I think many people are realizing like that he's optimistic on those timelines. Maybe in his mind at that time, he thought it was a few months away from being like level 4, level 5, that we were like the steep part of the S curve, like he was thinking. Maybe we're getting closer to that now, though. But yeah, when that full self-driving beta when the beta gets turned off and it's ready for prime time, pretty soon after that, I think the largest company in the world is very possible. So,
Hmm.
that could be pretty quickly once that's turned off and the market kind of realizes it. What do you think he was alluding to? What's your thoughts on it?
I think you have to think FSD there, or you
Yeah,
have to think that he knew there was going to be another forcing mechanism like S&P inclusion, because with
yeah,
S&P inclusion last year, if I recall correctly, he was, he would come out and he would have these tweets about, the shorts are going to burn, just wait, like it's going to happen, and you just kind of think like, what does
yeah,
he know? Because obviously
yeah.
he knows
And then he had
everything.
like the what did he have the
The
snake and
snake,
Polynesian
yeah,
jazz.
like, he's obviously, trying to throw these little things out there. He's funny. And
Yeah,
obviously it happened. SM conclusion happened. It just didn't happen in the time that we thought. Because I'm not sure if you remember this. The
yeah,
first time when I think um there was another company introduced into the S&P 500 when everyone thought it was going to be Tesla, and Tesla dropped like 15% that week, or 20% that week, because everyone's like, well, Tesla got snubbed. Tesla got snubbed. And obviously Tesla got included after that, but the timing never worked out. But I just don't know what it is here. This is why I'm asking about the exercising of the options. Like, do you think that has any effect on the share price? I don't think it should, in theory, exercising your options, right?
no, I don't think so. I think if he sold his stock to pay his taxes, that would obviously, but I don't think he'd even sell them on the open market. I think he'd work something out with his institutional wealth managers who are probably have plans in place to allocate shares to their top clients or whatnot. But yeah, the exercising options, I don't think that would do it. It just doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's getting a lot of big investors that have never bought Tesla before asking for meetings with him that he's never seen. And so
Mm,
he's realizing that a lot more institutional fund managers are interested
interesting.
because he's getting a lot more meeting requests. That's possible.
I like that theory. Yeah, that could 100% make sense. And he knows that even if X percentage, or even if they all do a small percentage of it, that's a lot of outstanding
Yeah.
shares between them, right?
Yeah. And he probably wouldn't take those meetings. He's not taking those meetings, but just he would probably get feedback from, investor relations or whatever, saying like, hey, this week we got this, and this firm and this firm and this firm now trying to get meetings with you. Do you want any of them? And he'd be like,
Mm,
no. And maybe in the past it was like 1 or 2 a week, and now all of a sudden it's like 10 a day are asking for meetings, So
mm,
I wonder if he could just gauge interest on the institutional level based
mm.
on that.
Yeah, that's a really good theory. Never thought about it like that. But wouldn't they meet with Martin? Well, I guess even if they didn't meet with Martin, he would hear about it. Like, he would
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and Elon is sort of the gatekeeper in a lot of these. The best meeting is with Elon, obviously, and so they might not. They might ask, even though they might not know that they might know they wouldn't get it unless they thought they were a big enough firm, like Ron Barron, obviously, because he's a loyal investor. He might get it.
Right, right. Um, Starlink. Do you think at any point Company X comes to fruition here? Do you think maybe that was what the tweet was about? Because some people ran with that theory.
I
Um,
don't think so.
no,
Nah. I think it's too much paperwork and litigation stuff, and you saw what they did when they took over Solar City. How much of a headache that was, and he's still going to court for that, or he did recently. So
right.
so just I think he doesn't want to deal with that type of stuff, and
Hmm.
that's my opinion. Obviously having a holding company, if he set that up a way back and did it all under that would have been, Monday morning quarterbacking the best way to do it. But what it's sort of, I feel like he knows it's kind of set in stone the path for Tesla and SpaceX, and Starlink could spin out of SpaceX. That's about as far as it goes, but it'll be its own like stock
Right.
IPO, I think. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think that'll be great once they do go live. I'm not informed enough to know whether or not they might do like an alphabet type of thing or
Hmm.
whatever else corporate governance wise. All I know is that I think Starlink. He said that he only wants to bring it on the public market when it's more
Yeah.
consistently profitable or revenues
Yeah.
are more consistent. So we'll see. I see some comments here coming in about do we think any of this week has to do with Kogwin Leo, who is now the
Hmm.
third largest shareholder? Recent interview done with Dave Leon Investing as well. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I respect that guy a lot. He's being very transparent, and he's top shareholder of Tesla. He's communicating with the retail world. I mean, considers himself a retail investor. Um, Really, he's not. I mean, he's really just an individual, like high level, like top institutional investor
Hmm.
class. That's where he is. But he's putting himself in the mix with all of us retail investors, and I really respect him a lot and his honesty and transparency about it, and that he's like updating us on a daily basis when he's buying new shares. And
Hmm.
I guess he's trying to frame it in a way that he's offsetting ARK investments kind of
Right.
trimming of Tesla and buying more than what they're trimming, or at least as much as what they're trimming. So that's an interesting way to put it. But no media reports on it. It's so ridiculous. I mean, you'd think that the media reports on ARK investing trimming their position like they're actively selling it, when they just trim it to get closer to 10% of Tesla as it's going up,
Right.
like so they could buy more Robinhood.
Yeah. They do love Robinhood.
Yeah, I don't like Robinhood at all, but they like it. And if it wasn't for ARK, I think Robinhood would be a lot lower.
Right. Hey, who
But
knows? Yeah, and we don't have to get into Robinhood and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, you're right. He does kind of frame his purchases in a way, and like to an extent, like ARK is kind of tied to what their strategy is. They have a 10% weighting. They'll keep that. If Tesla
Mhm.
stock goes up, they'll have to trim. If it goes down, they'll buy some more. But they're also kind of with their fund is also privy to the net inflows or net outflows of the fund. So
That's
just
true.
because
Yeah.
Tesla's going up doesn't mean that they're gonna be selling off if they're getting a lot more money in the fund as well. So
Yeah.
it's just
And I
yeah,
think ARK does have more than 10% Tesla, if I recall, but I think they like you said, it's sort of like a guideline to try to get it down to 10%. But I think they have significantly more than 10% at times, but they're not allowed to buy more of Tesla unless it's below 10%. Then they can buy more to get it up to 10%.
right.
But as Tesla goes up to maybe be 15% of their portfolio or more, they're like, well, that's a lot. We got to start trimming a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. And it's funny, it's like it's almost like if they never trimmed, it would be, a large majority of their
It probably would be
ETF.
like 30 or 40% of their portfolio right now if they never trimmed. Yeah,
But then,
more.
at that point, why would anyone buy ARK? They would just buy Tesla, right? It's like
Yeah.
then at that
Yeah.
point, you're not even well, like why pay for an ETF? You can just buy the share that they own, which is the majority
Yeah.
of the fund. So
Yeah.
it's kind of this kind of funny cash 22 that goes on.
Yeah.
Um, but
Mhm.
sitting here at $1,101
Oh my
and
gosh.
40 cents, and we have what 20 minutes still left in Power Hour.
Let me
Very
tell you a
strong
funny
trade.
option story while
Yeah,
we're watching here.
let's do
I
it.
know you like the short-term options. So I don't know if you've listened to all the Good Soil investment channel. Me and Matt do a weekly chat every Tuesday morning at 9:30 Pacific, right? And so this past Tuesday we talked about, I think, our short-term options bet on Tesla. We put on, I mean, we viewed as short-term as like 3 months call options. We bought in September for November 19th. So we bought it when Tesla was around $720, and we looked at the options probability lab on Interactive Brokers. I don't know if you use that, but it's a really good tool. Really, really cool. But we looked at it and we saw like the options were pricing the stock of getting to like $900 like it was like a 10% chance by November 19th. And we were
Mhm.
like, what? We think it's much higher. We knew that the deliveries were going to be pretty strong. It was like mid-September at this time. And so we bought a ton of these 900 strike call options for November 19th when the stock was at like $720 or something. And we bought it for like an average price of like $8. And the thing started steadily going up. It went up to like $15, and then it kind of bounced around between $10 and $15 for like, oh, that's good, but let's hope that Tesla keeps going up. And sure enough, it went up to like right before earnings, and we knew the earnings print was going to be good. We knew Wall Street expected to be good. It was like Tesla was at $850 or something around that range, and the options were trading at $20. So we had more than doubled our money, or about doubled our money, a little more, and we decided to sell the call options then, the day of the earnings release, because we were so sure, we should get cute. We were so sure that the stock would gap down a little bit the
Yeah.
next morning, and we'd buy it back in, and we thought it would go back up into November, and we'd buy it for like $15 again and get more of them, or just, collect some profit.
Mhm.
And
Of course.
because we tried to be cute, and we still made money, but
Right.
we'd be up 20x now, or 30,
Oh,
25, 30x
yeah.
now if we just held on to it instead of 2x. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But it's just a painful story. I mean, we still did all right, but
Yeah. And I
oh
think
man,
Matt was saying that would have, like, doubled the whole, like,
the whole
it's
fund, yeah, it would have doubled our whole hedge fund.
that's
Put like
crazy.
3% of our fund, or 2% of our fund on this bet, 3%, and then yeah, it would have been a 30x return. It would have been insane. So
For sure. I mean, at the end of the day, I think, and that happens to everyone, I feel like, on like, it's always the one time where you're like, I'm gonna be prudent. I'm gonna do what.
yeah,
Oh wow, we're
1103.
11 to 3.
Yeah,
We're pumping here a little bit.
I drink some more juju
There we
juice.
go. I think I just had a slice. I think that's what did it. But it's like you always try to tell yourself after those scenarios that, like, hey, 9 out of 10 times it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
And that one time that it did, great, it did. I know I could have 20x it, but like this will pay off with the law of large numbers. And to be honest, like, I was doing the live stream on the earnings day, and I was asking everyone in the chat. You guys were telling me, like, I was like, hey, should I buy back these like these covered call positions for earnings? And everyone's like, buy them back. And I didn't believe it, but I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna buy it back. It wasn't a big deal to
yeah,
me because it wasn't a lot of money,
smart,
relatively speaking,
lucky.
for contracts. It was just a couple of contracts, and it was like,
Yeah, yeah,
like, it's not even worth it. Uh,
yeah,
and I was doing the math on those, and it was gonna be bad. Like, it actually would have been the inverse probably of what you would have talked about. So,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, and this is why it's so funny with Tesla, and you say this all the time. Whatever you think is gonna happen, it usually happens the exact opposite of what you
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, a lot of times the market does the opposite of what we think. Yeah. Like we think it's going to be pinned at 1100. Nope, it's going to 1110. Here we go, Like, who knows what's going to happen here? Yeah, it's crazy.
It's
Yeah, good thing we didn't sell those 1100 calls for $3.50. Right now we'd be a little nervous.
Yeah, what are those going for? Let's see.
Probably for
Actually, those
now
are still kind of holding tight. They're a little bit up, but they're only going for 350 right now.
they're still 350, but it'd be
Yeah.
nerve-wracking because the time decay is being offset by the price going up $2 or $3 since then.
Yeah,
So
and we only have what? We only have 15 minutes
15.
here
Yeah.
until close. It's funny, like, I know some people, and I don't know how they do it. They exclusively trade their majority of their positions on the Friday for the Friday expiration
Oh
contracts,
wow.
just lottos. And
Yeah.
it's just mind-boggling to me to see. Obviously, huge percentage of returns can be possible, but obviously a
Yeah.
lot of risk, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
tying your money up into something that's probably going to expire worthless. That's why the
Yeah.
deltas are so close to zero for a lot of this stuff now.
Yeah.
But every now and then, I'm not sure if you remember, like last year, Zoom stock on, I think,
Oh
second
yeah.
quarter
Yeah.
earnings or whatever.
Yeah.
You remember when it went up like 35 or 40% post
Yeah.
earnings?
Yeah. I
And
remember that.
I was so close to getting filled on the day of earnings, but I kind of have this theory where, like, I'll put in my order close to the bid on kind of earnings plays, and if I get filled,
Yeah.
I get filled. If I don't, it wasn't meant to be.
Mhm.
And woke up, and the next morning, I think those contracts for like $10 or $11 were trading for like, I want to say 50 or 60 or something nuts.
Wow.
So I mean, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, option trades go bad all the time. They're risky. It's definitely like borderline gambling for sure.
I saw a really funny tweet. It said options traders are just sports gamblers who like to wake up early and drink coffee instead of beer. you know? And I was like, "Ah,
Yeah.
okay, fine. I'll
Yeah,
take that."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
11:03:62 on Tesla.
Oh, here we go.
Where
Last few minutes here, rising up. The market makers are thrown in the towel. They can't pin it, maybe. I don't know. Let's see.
well, this is a repeat of last week. If I pull up the weekly candles, we finished at the highs last week, and that I said that was really bullish, and here we are,
Yeah,
déjà vu again. We're finishing at the high of the week again. So,
yeah. Wow.
no words
Was
sometimes.
11:05.86 was the high today. So let's see if it breaks that. That's going to be an interesting mark if it breaks that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
then who's selling up there? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, whenever it goes to all-time highs, that kind of perpetual tweet of like, if you had bought in Tesla ever in history, you should be up right now in terms of your
Yeah.
stock price. Like everyone's up on this. Like
Everyone's made money ever invested, who's ever
who's gone
bought
long.
Tesla. Yeah,
So
who's still long. Yeah.
who's still long? That's true.
Yeah.
11:03:38. It looks like there is like a sneaky
Huh.
buyer at these levels that's looking to accumulate before the end of the week. Just by
Yeah.
based on the price action here. It's like the question is how long can this persist for?
Yeah.
It's like obviously this has been awesome price action for the last X amount of weeks. 3 weeks straight. Like quite
Yeah.
literally,
How long
Emmet,
does it
like look at these
persist?
candles.
Do we go up to like $2,000, then it comes back down to 1,500, or do we go to like $1,200 and back down to 900? I don't know. Like, there's going to be a big 20 or 30% pullback at some point, but we just don't know when,
You just
right?
don't know
It
when. And
could
it's
go up
like
for a long time first.
exactly. And look at these weekly candles, these last 3 weeks. Just there's no wicks on the
Let
upside, closing at the high of
Wow.
weeks every single week. Um, obviously, we've been a little bit spoiled, is to kind of put it mildly. We're
It-
approaching high of day here again. Nuts.
oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, every time you have this going into the weekend too, like such a hot week of Tesla, like think about how many people are talking about it over the week, like
Mm,
institutional hedge fund managers that are on the golf course or at fancy dinner, with their buddies or whatever, and like, oh, I got into Tesla. You get into it yet? Or just like lots of high net worth people that are managing big portfolios, maybe that are kind of forced to talk about. It's like the hot stock of the week. Who's not? If you're talking about stocks this week, you're not going to not talk about Tesla, right?
right.
This is the week you're going to talk about it because it's like the hottest story of the week. So it forces people to engage in dialogue on Tesla. And I think that's a good thing overall. More people start understanding the big story. The more you study it, the more potential you see in it.
Right. And I think the only one issue I have with that theory is whenever I believe that theory, it always never works because I remember the same thing being told to me in 2017 about crypto. When I gotten
Okay.
into crypto and I got into Bitcoin, I think it was like
Yeah.
17,000 or like 13,000. It was like, okay, Thanksgiving's coming up. Every or no, it's approaching that like everyone's gonna, what's gonna happen?
Talk about dinner
Thanksgiving,
table.
everyone's gonna talk about crypto, Yash. Watch out. And then it
Oh, new
proceeded
all-time
to
high is
there we
about to
go,
hit
new
it.
all-time highs.
Oh, just hit it. Bam.
Well,
105.99.
somewhere Dave Lee is staring at the
106.
stock price.
Yeah, where's his tweet that says he's staring? I think too many people are staring at it right
Oh
now,
my
right?
god,
That's
check this out. Check out this candle.
whoa. Oh.
11:06:59. Oh, actually, Dave Lee just commented, "How high do you think Tesla can go next week?" Depends how long you can stare at it, Dave.
Yeah,
Um, wow,
yeah.
check this. This is nuts.
Whoa, now we're uncharted territory. It's even more unhinged here. The,
Hold
the
on.
market makers lost control.
This
They've
is
lost
nuts.
control. They're
Okay.
like, screw, we can't pin it. We got to just let it go. And they're buying their shares that they're
Wow.
trying to short it to pin it, maybe. So I don't know. It's
The
crazy.
okay,
Yeah.
these options prices have to be wrong because this 1110 is only selling, or this 1100 strike is only selling for 350.
It's probably delayed or something. Yeah. I mean, it should be
Wow. 1108,
1108. Yeah,
new
this is
all-time
gonna.
high.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm checking my portfolio real quick just to make sure I'm not short. I'm not like there's nothing expiring today or anything
Yeah.
like
Let me
that.
check mine. Make sure I don't have anything crazy going on here. I don't think so. Gotta check.
There's a habit my dad always told me is to always check on a Friday right before close just to make sure you're not.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, this is nuts.
Oh,
110840,
wow.
110875 high of day. This is man, this is nuts.
Wow.
This is crazy. I mean, awesome.
What do you pay? We should do a poll on everyone watching. We have like 1,500 people watching right now. We should do a poll to see what people think it'll close at here.
Let's put it in the chat. What are you
Okay.
guys' closing price guesses? We got 8 minutes left. Closing and only guess one time. We only like to do one guesses. So if you guess twice, your second guess counts, and we'll see
Okay.
who's closest.
I'm gonna put my guess in the chat. Oh, everyone's putting 11, 11, 11. Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 1, 120.
You're
I'll
always
go
on the high side,
1, 120.
but it works out. Dave says
Yeah.
11, 11113, or 1113. It's, and by the way, it's also Price is Right rule. So if you're a penny over, you're out.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
No one told me that. All right, I gotta change it. I'm gonna change it to 1, 1, 1, 5 then. There we go.
Someone's gonna guess a dollar and they're gonna get it. So because
It's gonna come back below 1,000, 1,100.
oh my
Yeah.
god, this is nuts.
Yeah.
110920 sitting on the stock. This is a repeat of last week altogether, and also feels like
Yeah.
this is deja vu, but in all the best ways, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
You think about pre-split, a move like this is $160 pre-split move, like it today, 32 times 5, $160 move. Like this is a big deal.
and this is also on a quiet day,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, relatively speaking, for this week, like
Yeah.
Monday was a $150 move.
Yeah.
Like, man, this is nuts. A lot of good guesses in here. We'll see who's right soon enough. Raptor is saying that is this a gamma squeeze? Yeah, I mean, I guess that Dave Lee had on the person from Spot Gamma. I guess maybe this
I
is
don't think so. I
potentially.
think he was saying that the gamma squeezes happen on like Monday and Tuesday, and then by the end of the week, it's supposed to stabilize because the market makers sort of pin it. That's what I think the theory,
But
the
if
lesson I took from that.
but if markets are perfect, wouldn't you front run that squeeze before Monday on a Friday at close? I don't know. Just thinking out
Yeah,
loud.
maybe things are changing. Yeah, I don't, so I don't know if this gamma squeeze thing is really, I mean, there are a ton of options going into this thing.
Someone's saying that the chart's looking like the Burj Khalifa. No kidding. Yeah, this is looking like the SpaceX rocket going up.
Yeah.
110995 new high day. I think we're about to probably break 1110 here on stream live.
Yeah.
Um, like if you just look at this candle, obviously there's some dumping here, but that buyer, whoever's buying here, is scooping all of this back up. Like it's having a hard time on any downside.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
man, that was unexpected.
I was a nice $10 pop while we were talking. Yeah.
11,
Oh,
11. I was just getting used to post split over 11 or over 1,000, and now I have to get
yeah.
used to over 1,100.
Mm,
I mean,
I
champagne for me.
know.
So check that out.
1,110. Oh, here we go. Popped it up. What happens next?
You guys can't change your guesses, by the way. If you've already left a comment, like don't leave like 10 of them.
Yeah.
11, 10, 50 new high of day on
Oh
Tesla.
man.
It's not
Whew.
stopping. You so you
No.
your guess was 1120, right?
Yeah. 11:15 I changed it to once you told me the Price is Right rule.
11:15.
Yeah. I changed it to 11:15 after you reminded me
Okay,
that I can.
11:15.
Yeah.
I think we're about to close probably at 11:15. We have 5 minutes
Yeah.
left.
Well, I saw a whole bunch of people type in 11:11 at once. So maybe consensus wins here. I don't know. That seems like we're stuck around 11:10 here, but
Yes, I mean volume is almost 27 million shares traded on the day. Um,
yeah. And look how much the volume's kind of really spiked up here at the close. Obviously, it always does, but it's a little more emphatic than normal at the close.
Yeah, it's the last 5 minute candle that we had was about 1.1 million shares traded in between 12:55 Eastern
Yeah.
and or pardon me 12:50 to 12:55 Pacific
11:11.
Eastern.
Yep. Just about to break 11:11 here. 11:11 is the new high. Wow.
This is wow. This is some stream. This week I've just had good luck. Like on Monday, I started streaming and I didn't think we were gonna hit a trillion, but I always have that hope. And then
Yeah.
it did. And then on the same stream, we also hit a thousand, which was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
I mean, this is great. Can't
It's
complain.
great. No, can't complain. Just gotta soak it in.
And meanwhile, CNBC is talking about Starbucks right now.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm saying. You need a Tesla TV channel because no one wants to watch CNBC talk about Starbucks.
There it is. Starbucks slower on earnings miss. Well, that's
Don't they realize their ratings would be so much better if they started talking about Tesla more? I mean, they would be so much better. I think that's probably their highest rating things. Oh, 11:11.
oh,
Almost
11:12 just
12.
hit. 11,
Oh,
sorry, 11:12. Yes, that's right. Can't even say it
yeah.
right. Wow. There's no stopping in sight here.
No. Sometimes it can rally really fast in the last 2 or 3 minutes, like an extra 1% even. I've seen that in the past with Tesla. The market makers maybe have lost control of their delta hedging. They just have to cover,
Mhm.
they don't want to go on the weekend with that much risk based on how it gaps up sometimes, so
Mm.
see what happens here.
I was gonna on this stream perhaps buy like a lotto position I was telling you about for next week,
No.
and now there's no way that I want to buy in after kind of this pump. Like I always feel like I'm gonna be that one loser that's gonna buy right at the peak of the pump, and then
Yeah.
Monday's gonna be flat. But
Ooh, 113.60. Man, I think my 115 might be right. Wow, let's see.
I think you're
120
close.
maybe. I don't know.
Well,
But next time if we, next time we'll have to do this again every once in a while. Wow, 114. Next time we do this, I'll buy like an option contract at the start for the end of day expiry, and we can track. We can each buy one like speculative end of
sweet.
day thing
Yeah,
and
just for
kind of
fun.
track it for
I
fun. Yeah.
I am holding, I did buy well, I've been bag holding on these, but actually we're probably close to break even now. SPX calls for next week just for another
Okay.
all-time high, but yeah, I mean, I'm just bullish in general. Like when the gravy train's going, you don't want to be going the opposite way. Like,
Yeah, I saw that with Lucid, man.
yeah, right? Yeah.
You don't
Like,
want to be short and lucid anymore when that thing is going way up. That was crazy. Wow, 114,
wow.
74.
Emmett,
What's the
I think your guess is spot on here.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. 11, 14, 50, 98 new high of day, 2 cents away from
Wow.
11:15.
Uh-oh. And we got like a minute and 15 seconds. Yeah, at this rate. Yeah, let's see what
Wow.
happens.
This is yeah, some real buying on these minute candles, 273,000, 260,000 shares.
Now,
Mm.
at this last minute price action, is any big seller coming in the last 2 minutes and being like, quickly sell 10,000 shares of our portfolio? I don't think so. Like, I don't think there's any big manager making a last second decision in the last 5 minutes
Yeah.
based on a quick 10 or 20 buck rise.
I think 11:15 was a great guess. I think we're probably gonna close right around there.
Yeah.
45 seconds left here till close, 11:14:68.
Oof.
It whenever you
95.
I don't know, like, whenever you end the week like this, it's hard not to be bullish on the week after. It's just,
Yeah.
momentum carries.
Oh, 115.02
There we
printed.
go.
Oh man, I got to finish above 115 or the Price is Right rules destroy me.
Yes, it's whatever we close at, right? So,
Yeah. Oh
someone
no.
um, DJ
We're
just,
going
super
away.
chatted saying, "Emmett, take a swig." So maybe if you take a swig, you'll by the way, thanks for all the super chats coming in, by the way, folks. Haven't been
Oh,
on
there
top
we
of
go.
them.
All right. I'm watching
11:15.
closely.
Alright, let's see if that algo works there.
12 seconds.
11:14:32.
Uh-oh, we got to get up there.
Man, we just rallied
Oh,
like $15 in the
I
last 10
know.
minutes.
I know. I know. Wow. What's the
So
closing print going to be? Let's see. It'll probably be 114
there we go.
even.
114.18 is the closing print.
Oh,
So
wow.
oh, actually, no, they just changed it. 114 on the dot is the closing print.
Wow. Doesn't
Wow.
surprise me. Wow.
Or
That's
no, let
crazy.
me just verify what the closing print is. Google is telling me it's 104. No, it's 114 on the dot.
Wow.
Dave Lee just tweeted saying his staring power. So there's some sort of there's some sort of like meditative like power there.
Yeah.
What
It's
a
what a
wow. What happened?
close, man. This was a great live stream, man. We have to do this more often.
I think we'll have to do it every day until Tesla starts to
Wow.
fall.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane. Oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, the Tesla was up 3% today, 3.43%. Wow.
You know what's nuts?
Unbelievable.
Those calls, those 110 strike calls that were selling for like 50 cents closed
Yeah.
obviously at $4. So that would have been a nice return right there.
Yeah. That would have been a nice return. Just buying those, right? They were selling for 50 cents, you said,
They
right?
were
And
selling
then
for 50 cents. Yeah, so you could
could
have
have bought
bought.
them all, bought them for a 10x return. What the heck? What were we thinking? I
We shouldn't
mean,
be streaming. It's costing us money.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Wow, what a close. 11:14 on the day. Down a little bit after hours, but you guys know how I feel about after hours trading for the
Yeah.
most part. Don't
Yeah.
consider it much. Um insane. In the money saying
Yeah.
that's the power, that's the magic of the juju. I think he's right.
Yeah. 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 I'm glad I participated with my Juju Juice. I think that,
Got a whole
you
bag
know,
here.
yeah.
It's yeah, I mean, what a week. Obviously next week is setting up to look quite interesting to put it mildly. Um, again, like you said, like anything can happen Monday, and it doesn't have to be just a pump up. It could be anything, quite literally.
Yeah.
Um, I am very curious though to know what caused this week to happen. I just don't think it's entirely just a gamma squeeze. Like maybe X percentage of it is, maybe it's 30% of the story here, but there's more to it that I think we're not going to know until 13F filings come out or something.
You think some big whales are buying up some shares? Yeah.
I mean, it's just hard to
for sure.
believe the volume that we saw on Monday and Tuesday.
I think with the gross margin surprise that we all saw coming, you just didn't know how much it would impact all the institutional managers on Wall Street, but it clearly had a very positive impact. Like Tesla reported last week on Wednesday after the close, right? And
Mhm.
margins were off the hook 30% plus, right? I mean,
Yeah, that was
what
nuts.
auto make it's not an auto company. So that argument is thrown out the door now, and it forces, anyone who's managing money, the thing is a lot of these portfolio managers are watching, 10 plus stocks, they can't, there's not enough bandwidth to understand Tesla if you're watching 10 plus stocks. You got to like
Mm,
you got to focus a lot of effort to understand Tesla's a big conglomerate of businesses tied together, and it vertically integrated in very different ways versus other automakers. And so you really gotta spend time, and it's probably very difficult unless you're like really forced to pay attention to understand its value proposition and what it brings to the economy and the future and innovation and its
mhm,
future profit potential. So when it printed that gross margin upside surprise, it forced the hand of a lot of these,
mm,
institutional money managers to really take a deeper dive into it. I think over the days after that, and
yeah.
sort of, putting on positions in it.
30 plus percent is no joke. Gross margin.
No,
14.4 or 14.3% operating margin. Those are
yeah,
some intense numbers. And we're talking about 4680s aren't even out yet.
yeah,
Like,
crazy, yeah,
like can you imagine like if we take what Drew Beglino and Elon say at face value and we say 50% cost savings, I think it is from
yeah,
4680.
yeah,
Um, we're
yeah,
about to there's gonna be an upside surprise again. And yes, there's execution risk there, but
yeah.
I think numbers, you're right. Like this is the thing is like 30 plus percent gross margin doesn't just happen.
No, yeah, it doesn't just happen. There's something special people are forced to recognize now. Like the Tesla, we should all be very thankful for the Tesla Q community, to be honest. Like as
Mm.
annoying as they were for so long and how much it bothered us all, like I can't believe they're trying to, you know, create all this FUD. It really allowed all of us to profit much more. All of us that stuck with Tesla and saw through it and bought, shares and stuck, we all got in at lower prices than we otherwise would have if the Tesla Q community did not exist. So, I think hats off in a way to them because, they helped redistribute the wealth to us retail folks,
Right.
seeing truth in
Well,
Tesla.
and now it's almost impossible to really with size short Tesla, right?
Yeah.
Like now any short seller is probably running against the wind if they're shorting Tesla now. It's a large cap, it's a mega cap, it's in pension funds. Like you're not going to win that bet usually, right?
Yeah.
Even if the stock just flatlines and doesn't do anything. By the way, there is some news about vaccines getting approved, I think, for underagers. And
Okay.
if you look at the NASDAQ, I pulled it up here, we
All right.
did rally into the close. So there is some macro
Oh, I see.
tailwind there coming in. The S&P
That's important.
500 too. Yeah, the S&P 500 as well ran the last half
Yeah.
an hour. But you know what? This is actually, to my knowledge, and I've been watching some of the charts intently at some points in the day. It's one of the only times was right now when Tesla and the macro markets were in general moving together. What I was noticing this entire week was when the S&P would sell off or flatline a little bit, that's when some juice would come back into Tesla. And
Hmm.
when the S&P 500 was running, Tesla would start to like flatline a little bit, almost like
Oh,
money.
118 after hours. Woo.
Is there news?
I don't know. No new. I don't see any big volume, but it's spiking up there. People are buying into 118. It's going
Oh
up.
my god.
There's significant orders. Almost 119.
What?
I don't know. Anyone who sold 1450 calls for expiry next week, I'd watch out. I know one person that's done that, and I'm not going to tell who it is, but one person I know,
Oh, really?
1450 calls for next week. Watch out.
What?
I would not sleep good this weekend. I don't know.
Wait, 1450?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
they're fine. Next week, 1450?
Probably. But if we gap up 100, $200 a day, I mean, by Wednesday, those are in the money.
Oh,
What the
man.
heck?
Well, I
I
mean,
don't know.
what there's actually hold on here. There is this is market on close. The first 5-minute candle post or after market was 382,000 shares. Hmm.
Hmm.
I think that's decent. 382,000 shares in the first 5 minutes of after hours trading. That's
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty
um
good.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe there's upgrades to come or something. 1450 for next week is Like even if Tesla jumps up $100, it's still under 1,300. Like they should be cheap.
I predict, I mean, I sort of predict that there's still more gamma squeeze or delta hedging to, like, the market makers didn't, could, are going to have to buy more. If the macro market cooperates Monday, and there's no major news against Tesla, it's just like nothing changes from now to Monday morning.
Hmm.
I think that will gap up Monday morning
Mm.
based on what I'm seeing after hours, just based on this after hours movement. Like someone's buying up shares, trying to forward. Like, I don't know if
Hmm.
you remember the run ups in the past before the pre split, like,
Hmm.
and you'd see like the market gap up every day after hours would go up like another 1 or 2% after hours with decent volume, and then
That's
the next
true.
morning it would gap up like
Yep.
3% on the open and then go up a lot.
Mm.
It just felt like there's just,
Momentum, yeah.
yeah, momentum. There's just not enough shares to buy that are available, and someone's got to buy a bunch of shares, whether it's
Mm.
delta hedging or what. But that's my
Yeah.
prediction. I don't know.
And do you remember pre-split, obviously, from when we would pass like big whole numbers like 1,200, 13, 1,400, how fast we would pass by them? It's almost feeling like we're having that same level of ease. Like the higher Tesla gets,
Close
the
to it. Yeah.
easier, which
Yeah.
is so counterintuitive because now it should be so much harder to move a stock like Tesla. It's such a mega
Yeah.
cap company, right?
There's not much resistance. That's the thing. Like when you enter new territory like this, there's not as much resistance. So if there's enough buyers coming in, there aren't enough sellers set at price targets where they want to sell it, like waiting there for the price to get to a certain level before they start lighting up their position. There's some portfolio managers that decide from time to time, like ARK Invest, trimming some of their position every day to get back down to 10% or whatever. So there's some of that, but that's the resistance, like other than
Mm.
that, there's too many hold on for dear life investors like us, like hold hodlers, I guess you call them, like
Mm.
that are never selling our shares, or until it's the biggest company in the world and even beyond.
Mm.
So there's just, when you get to the new highs, I feel like when you break out of that range that we were in for a lot of the year, then the new high, you don't know where it's going to settle at to a new range. I mean, there will be, it could double or triple to a new range and then kind of break down 20 or 30%, like we were saying. But we're kind of in the midst of figuring out price discovery, figuring out what
Price
the new.
discovery, yep. That's exactly what I was gonna say, and it feels like NVIDIA almost, where when
Yeah.
NVIDIA when they split, how fast,
Yeah.
or when they announced the split, I should say, how fast
Yeah.
it ran.
Yeah.
And now again, like, if you look at NVIDIA, it's again closing at high, all-time
Yeah,
highs
I like
again.
Nvidia a lot. I mean, I like hard tech.
Mm.
There's some people invest in soft tech, but I really like Tesla, Nvidia, hard tech plays that are building things that are very innovative and technology focused. I mean,
Mhm.
the software is part of it too, but I just think the future
Mhm.
is in hard tech, like really, stuff like that. Because I think software as a service, all that stuff, it's, I
It
don't know. I
doesn't
don't think.
exist without NVIDIA, so
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And someone else can disintermediate quickly with new software. I feel like once you build the capability for hard tech that's way better than the previous hard tech, it takes a while for someone else to kind of catch up.
Yeah, right, and there's so much sunk cost and fixed cost into something like
Yeah.
semiconductors, for example, right?
Yeah. I think
Um
Nvidia will be the next $1 trillion market cap company. Personally, that's what I think the next one
Yeah.
would be.
I'm not invested in NVIDIA, but I've been saying that, like, they're a good company. I quite like their stock, and it trades quite similar to Tesla, where when it runs, it really runs.
Yeah.
So I think there's some overlap there as well. But I just find a hard time following so many stocks. Like, I like to keep
Yeah.
keep it thin. Like
Yeah.
when I was younger, my dad would always say, like, yeah, I should only focus on a couple, and I would like
Yeah.
hate that advice because I was like, I
Yeah.
like this. Like, I know
Yeah.
I wanted to be like kind of like Jim Cramer, everything
Yeah.
about
You want to
everything.
get a piece of everything.
And then
Yeah.
now I'm a little bit more, a little bit more jaded, a little bit more,
Yeah.
just like you can't be arsed about stuff. And now it's like I want to hone in on something. And it's so hard with this channel, especially. It's like everything's about Tesla for me,
Yeah.
where it's like I don't want to delve into so many different stocks at
Yeah.
one time. And obviously, you run a
Yeah.
fund, so for you, you kind
Yeah.
of have to. Um,
Yeah, Matt and I, we spend half our time or more on Tesla because that's our largest position in our fund by far, by a good amount now. And then we have like 4 or 5 other names that we are pretty, significant positions on, like 10% or more of our funds portfolio each on, that we kind of focused a lot on. But 50% of our time is Tesla or more, maybe. And, my personal portfolio is like 80% Tesla. So, it just makes sense to, you know, and I've had such a long history investigating Tesla, and it's just a big conglomerate of businesses. Like I'm not,
Mm.
you have to know, like, which I've listened to you too, like you can't become an expert on one thing. Like you can't become an expert on battery chemistry, or you can, I guess,
Yeah, right.
but it's better just to understand like 70% of this stuff of, or with 20% of the effort, the Pareto principle, where you can understand like
Yeah.
70 or 80% with only 20% of the effort. So if you can do that across all the different divisions within Tesla,
Mm.
then you're not the expert on accounting, or you're not expert on,
Yeah.
the full self-driving mechanics, or fit, whatever, programming, AI, or the chip design, or, but you know enough to be dangerous, and you know enough to know who's the expert to go to
Right.
when you want to look into something, right? And so if
Exactly.
you combine it all, and then you can apply it with investing, then that's where I think the success can come.
Oh, absolutely. And even Elon says like Tesla is a combination of a bunch of different tech companies put together.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because obviously that quote gets a lot of shade on Twitter and a lot of shade by like, oh, what are you talking about? All like 99% of your revenue, well, not 99%, like a large portion of your revenue is auto based.
Yeah.
And I guess
Yeah.
that's the difference. Like Gary says this a lot, Gary Black. He says like, with Tesla investing, you have to be forward thinking. You can't be a value investor looking at today. And
Yeah.
I guess that's the chasm to cross with belief in a company or trust in a company. I should say maybe is a better word rather than faith. But is that you believe in looking at the gross margins is kind of case in point right now with that is like we kind of saw this coming, these kind of gross margin
Yeah.
numbers, but, like, if you
Yeah.
went back a year or, even a year, like, it's
Yeah.
crazy to say, like, anyone looking at that balance or anyone looking at the income statement would be like, "I don't know if that's possible."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you have to, again, like you say, look at the technology, trust people that know more than you, which I assume is always the case, and then, from there, you can make your own decisions, so
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, Yashu, it's great chatting with you, and it's been a fun live squeeze, live live stream. I was thinking that, I don't know why I was thinking squeeze, but
Well, hey,
I
that
was
worked
reading
out.
something.
That's why I should label this live squeeze, not live stream.
Yeah, gamma squeeze, short squeeze, or whatever we call.
Yeah. Oh, well, I kind of last night put this stream together. And I labeled it "Gamma Squeeze Coming?" question mark because I wanted it to highlight about next week and potentially that, but it kind of just happened on the stream. It looks like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone's laughing about it. All right, yeah, we got to call.
what a stream! What a stream!
We'll do
Awesome,
a live squeeze next time. Yeah,
love it. Thanks for coming
market it
on,
that
Emmett.
way.
Obviously, don't want to take too much of your time here. Great week.
Yeah,
Obviously, goes without saying.
yeah,
11.14 on
great
the
week.
stock price. Who knows? Maybe next week we're touching the 12s. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. I think that could be Monday. We'll see. Yeah,
Awesome. Great.
yeah.
Any last kind of parting words you want to say? And everyone go, by the way, subscribe to Good Soil Investment YouTube channel.
Oh,
Emmett, do you
thanks.
want to talk
Yeah.
about your schedule about when you live stream on that channel?
Yeah, we live stream every Tuesday morning Pacific time, 9:30. So it's 12:30 East Coast time. And Matt and I just talk about kind of macro markets and some other stuff we're following, other stocks. And then we spend half the time talking about Tesla, obviously, too, and then take Q&A. So typically goes about an hour. It's recorded on our YouTube channel. Um, but yeah, we're looking forward to actually get more content on there with some interviews. So we have an interview we just did a couple nights ago with the Bloomberg intelligence analyst, who's like an expert on the metaverse and
Hmm,
Roblox and gaming in Asia. Really interesting guy. And we did that. Well, that'll come out on Saturday morning, I think. We're going to try to do some more interesting interviews like once a week with the cadence. And we got some more lined up, maybe a roundtable to discuss SpaceX and Rocket Lab, which is a big pick of ours.
hmm.
Um, yeah, so we'll see what happens with content, but it's fun doing the channel, the YouTube channel, and I learn a lot just interviewing people,
Hmm.
as I'm sure you've experienced too, Yashu, and it's fun to open source that learning and present it on the YouTube channels for everyone to kind of absorb.
Yeah.
Um, so it's really cool. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah, and, like, even me interviewing you the first time and now, like, kind of diving into what you like, it's always good to get other people's perspective and to kinda see where they lie,
yeah.
compared to yours. So, I appreciate you coming on. By the way, announcement, I am also interviewing Matt, Emmett's partner at Good Soil, next Wednesday. I haven't announced that. I'll put a tweet out probably sometime next week. So I'm
Cool.
having him on. He's kinda my go-to, ear that I le or go-to person that I lend my ear to around everything financials and accounting and
Yeah,
how
he
to
understands. He, like I was talking about this 80/20. He probably understands he's like in the top 99.9 percentile of energy storage and accounting. He's like
Yeah.
on that spectrum for those two categories within Tesla for sure. So he worked in the energy industry for a long time, and so he understands those, and he's got a very good eye for predicting earnings and modeling out the earnings. He was like 2 cents away from this last quarter, so he's
Yeah.
really good at that stuff.
He's
Yeah,
awesome with that. So I'm excited to have him on next week. And by the way, thanks for all the
good.
super chats, Patrick, Marco, every single person throwing that in. Appreciate it. Again, like I say every Friday, put your phones away this weekend, take a break, have some time with family at the end of the day. Mental health matters too. Your portfolio is not going to change on the weekend.
Yeah.
All right, guys, take care. Thanks again, Emmett, for coming on.
All right. Yeah. Good chatting, and talk to you soon, Yashu.
Take care.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks.